My second review of the 7AG setup. Another note too is I am using the 7A FE oil pump. I'm not using a 4AG oil pump. I hear stories about you need the 4AG pump, it has more pressure, and then I hear people say the 7A FE pump has more volume. Honestly, I haven't had a problem with the 7A pump. I think it does a great job. I do rev my 7AG to 7,500 RPMs. And I have no issues so far, and I got this pump online. It's an Eisen. But one thing is I do run some really heavy oil. A lot of people, including myself, have spun a lot of bearings on 4G setups, and people say don't use 2050, it's too heavy, 1030, but 4Gs get hot, and when they get hot they make more power, and they also spin bearings. I do run a crazy setup of oil. I run VR1 racing oil. It's 2 quarts 50, straight 50 weight, and 2 quarts 60 weight. People say, well, it's too thick, 7A pump can't pump it. It's pumped it. I've even tested it with 90W140 gear oil. We've tested it with 100 weight plain oil. It does pump through the motor. It's harder on the pump, but yeah, extra insurance is better than spinning a bearing. I'd rather blow a pump and see it on my oil pressure gauge than to spin a bearing and have to rebuild the whole motor again and source a crank and yada yada. It's just not worth it. Now, before I do race my motor, I do let it warm up to operating temperatures, and before I even beat on it. And the oil pressure is high at cold, but then roughly 45 psi at operating temperature, which is okay. It's a little high, but it's good. It's good. I mean, I've checked the bearings several times, and they look brand new, like crispy like butter, look shiny. So the heavyweight oil does do wonders for me if you're a hardcore racer and want the extra insurance. Okay, injectors. People ask me what injectors I run. I'm running Fuel Injector Clinic 900cc injectors with a Walbro 450. These injectors are from a B series Honda. I took out the middle caps here and then put the Honda injectors in there at the bottom with the Toyota, how do you say, little sealing caps that go on the bottom. I forgot the name of them, but the FIC seem to work the best on this motor with this head over any other injector I've used so far. It just more response. It's just overall better. The atomization of everything. I recommend FICs for 4AG setups. Okay, this manifold, it is an eBay manifold. The thing I'm going to tell you about these eBay manifolds is they do break. They have a tendency to crack and blow off this whole side where the wastegate is at. But if I were you, when you first get them, put extra welds around it, reinforce it, and it will hold up 500 horsepower plus. After 350, it just gets hot. You know, it gets hot, cracks, it's brittle, it's thin. But the metal's really soft and it's easy to fix, and it's easy to reinforce before you install in the car. But this is an eBay manifold, and it is taking a beating. Had it for a couple years now. Also, what did I miss? Okay, people also ask me, what kind of cars have you beaten? Is it fast enough? Can it beat luxury cars? Yes, it can. And this lightweight 4-door body Corolla, it doesn't weigh much. It's a very light car. I was beating a lot of fast cars at 350 wheel, 400 wheel, and I was just a little bit behind the sport bikes. But when I made the 500 wheel, I was beating the 600s CBRs with just standard bolt-ons. Yeah, like I said, beating bikes with standard bolt-ons. But the 7AG does have, like, the power band does feel similar to the 4AG. The torque is just notoriously different. Even though it's just 10%, 15% increase in the block, you do feel the torque. My torque numbers are higher than my 4AG by far. One thing I love about the 4AG, it's a good motor, but the head, also on the 7A block, you do get the upper hand on the Hondas. Like, Hondas are the competition, you know, these days in the front wheel drive scene. And I do notice that the torque does get the Hondas, like, and the power band up top it's like having both a 4G and a 7AG, and it just keeps the power band is smooth, it's narrow up top. It just pulls. Like, I've raced a lot of fast Hondas, and they have a hard time on top end because of the torque I have and the upper power band as well. Transmission. Everyone asked me about the transmission, the C52 AE92 tranny. Yes, I did break the AE92 tranny at 480 wheel. It took some time to beat it. Third gear blew out. First, second, fourth, and fifth seemed to hold all the time, but third gear, they just shattered after a couple beatings. But I mean, it's a strong tranny. I was surprised that it actually held that long. before braking and all the beatings with the unsprung clutch that I'm having now. The 890 tranny was very short. I mean, I was shifting like a maniac. It was a little too short for my taste, but the torque, instant torque was there, but wasn't enough time in the gear to spool and stay in boost. So I'm running a 7.8 FE tranny, the same tranny, C52, but it's got the longer final drive, which is noticeably different when driving, but on boost, it feels a little bit longer, not much because the power band, but it pulls through that gear and I'm in boost longer. So it is a little bit longer, but it does help on top end even more. And my top end was very strong before with the 892 tranny with the shorter final drive of 4.1. So yeah, I say around 350, 400. The tranny's pretty much getting to its max in third gear. So I mean, I usually stay out of third gear. A lot of my races are in top end fourth gear. The gear is just a lot stronger. But my next video and setup will be converting the C59, the 98 Corolla 1ZZ tranny, to 2003 tranny and swapping the bell housings because that tranny's stronger for my power goals, which is going to be 700 once I change these stock cams out, which I've maxed already and proven and fought with people on the internet that said no, it's impossible, stock cams this, stock cams that, stock valve train. I've done it all, and this car has seen a lot of races, a lot of crashes on the track. It's not the prettiest car. It does piss a lot of people off on the streets. Ferraris, Lambos. I don't really have many race videos, but I should take them, but you know, I'm just out there to get, you know, my name out and prove to the world that the 7AG and the Corolla still can be competitive with swaps. In conclusion, it is a great motor setup. It's really powerful if you know what you're doing. Don't listen to what people tell you online. Do things right. Don't skip out. You know, stay away from eBay products. That's hit or miss, you know. I mean, depends on what you're buying. I have a lot of eBay stuff on here and a lot of high quality stuff, but it's just there's certain things I choose to buy. But I'm very happy with the 7AG over my 4AG. Will I ever go back to a 4AG? No, I will never go back to a 4AG having my 7AG on boost. It's just, I think it's just a better motor. I mean, the displacement, I mean, it's hard. It was hard at first, you know, and then all motor trim to understand, you know, feel that the difference was, okay, the 7AG didn't rev as fast, but it pulled harder through the gears, and it did rev up to its red line, just a little bit slower and all. But with the Honda, like I said, the Honda computer setup, it's just better. I did, and the response and the power I made over the electronics I've had over Toyota's factory electronics was just night and day. Toyota uses ancient mapping, very reserved. The 4AG and the 7AG love stock GSR mapping. We've ran it off stock GSR mapping with a little bit more fuel needed because it needed more fuel. And then from there, we just adjusted all the timing and everything from there. And I'm using a P28 with a GSR Integra map modified, and it's awesome.